Good morning and welcome to the latest news. What did we learn about Trump's coup plot from the first January 6 Select Committee first prime-time public hearing? Was the big lie just a rip-off? Will the Fulton County grand jury charge Donald Trump for election fraud? How intense was Trump's pressure campaign on Mike Pence to overturn the 2020 election results? Is Donald Trump tied to extremist groups? What did Barr, Stempien and Miller told the January 6 committee about Trump's big lie? Which GOP lawmakers begged Donald Trump for pardons and why? Who led the rioter on a Capitol tour prior to the January 6 insurrection? Did the Supreme Court just took away women's rights to abortion? Legal expert analysis about Donald Trump's criminal intent? Now, for the details. I'm Mary Bruce reporting.
Although former Attorney General William Barr repeatedly told Donald Trump that his claim of election wasn't true and there were no evidence of election fraud, Barr called Trump's claim, quote, bullshit, end quote. Trump was mad and he started dialing his pressure campaign on Mike Pence around December to January 6. He summoned Pence in the Oval Office asking him to reject the results of the election and send it back to the states for recalculation, or suspend the proceedings for 10 days. Donald Trump continued to pressure his vice president, in private and public. On January 5, the day before the riot insurrection, Trump tweeted, "Pence had the power to reject slate electors. Mike Pence is no hero. He did the right thing by following the rule of law." Nevertheless, who is Mike Pence? People who normally asked for pardon, exposes them to what we called consciousness of guilt. We now know that some of Trump's asked him to pardon them. The 5 Republican lawmakers who asked for pardon are Matt Gaetz, Andy Brigg, Louis Gohmert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Scott Perry. Others were Mo Brooks and John Eastman. While Kevin McCarthy asked if Trump could extend his pardon to the 147 Republican House members, who voted not to certify Joe Biden's win. This kind of pardon request can absolutely be used against these individuals in a criminal trial, and that can convince the jury to find them guilty for committing a crime. Barr's thinking, he said, was that the president had become detached from reality if he really believes this stuff. On the other hand, when I went into this and would tell him how crazy some of these allegations were, there was never an indication of interest in what the actual facts were. Barr's testimony and that of several aides played at the hearing were a candid, more brutal version of what they were saying in public shortly after the election. Bill Stempien, Trump's campaign manager, and Jason Miller, a top advisor, testified to the committee that they failed to keep Rudy Giuliani, Trump's personal lawyer, away from him on election night. Giuliani, whom Miller described as definitely intoxicated, told Trump that he should declare victory. It was far too early to be making any calls like that, Stempien testified. When Bill Barr stepped down as Attorney General in December 2020, he showered President Donald Trump with praise for his unprecedented achievements, and vowed that the Justice Department would continue to pursue the president's claims of voter fraud, to ensure the integrity of elections. A year and a half later, Barr sounds different. In videotaped testimony played at the first 2 public hearings held by the House committee investigating the January 6 attack on the Capitol, Americans have now learned what Barr avoided saying publicly about Trump at the time. "I was somewhat demoralized," Barr said in testimony played Monday, describing his reaction to a monologue from Trump in December 2020 that the voting machines were rigged. 2 of the witnesses who appeared at Thursday's hearing, Capitol Police Officer Caroline Edwards and documentarian Nick Quested, who was embedded with members of the Proud Boys on January 6, described their interactions with members of the extremist group, who were among the first to breach the Capitol. Quested also shared never-before-seen footage of Proud Boys members filmed in the lead-up to January 6, including video of a January 5, 2021, meeting between Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio and Rhodes, the founder and leader of the Oath Keepers. Rhodes and several other Oath Keepers members have also been charged with seditious conspiracy in relation to January 6. During her testimony, Capitol Police Officer Caroline Edwards said that she suffered a traumatic brain injury but she was still helping people while she was slipping in blood. Officer Edwards described the incident, quote, "war zone," end quote. Who are the Proud Boys and why are they relevant? The Proud Boys is one of the far-right extremist groups tied to Donald Trump that were present at the Capitol on January 6, and its leaders have been charged with seditious conspiracy in relation to their alleged role in coordinating the violent attack. At the hearing Thursday night, Cheney and Thompson sought to make connections between comments made by Trump, both before and after the 2020 election, and the violence that took place at the Capitol on January 6, which the Proud Boys have been accused of deliberately instigating. The Proud Boys had a detailed document titled 1776 Returns. The Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys had two different efforts to converge on the Capitol on January 6. Well, in my honest opinion, Mike Pence as a man that stood by for 4 years enabled Donald Trump to abuse the American people, to violate the rule of law, to trample the Constitution, with impunity. Secondly, Mike Pence was the head of the COVID-19 task force and he stood by and said nothing, while Donald Trump repeatedly lied to us about how widespread and dangerous the virus was. This endangered the lives of the American people by lying about the nature consequency, the transmissibility of a deadly pandemic. Mike Pence stood by while Jared Kushner said, quote, "Let's just let this pandemic run wild," end quote. Therefore, the 600,000 people who died from COVID-19, under the Trump's administration, the blood of these innocent people are on their hands. In another development, Georgia's top elections official appeared Thursday before a special grand jury investigating whether former President Donald Trump and others illegally tried to meddle in the 2020 election in the state. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger was summoned to the Fulton County courthouse where the special grand jury has been meeting, according to a subpoena obtained by the Associated Press through an open records request. Other subpoenas seek documents and testimony from 5 other people in his office. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis said her investigation includes looking into a January 2021 phone call in which Trump pushed Raffensperger to find the votes needed for him to win Georgia. Trump has said his call with Raffensperger was perfect, and that he did nothing wrong. The January 6 committee investigating the 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol held its first prime-time public hearing on Thursday night, the first of 6 that lawmakers hope will reveal what the committee has learned over the past 11 months about how the Capitol was breached and about former President Donald Trump's role in the events that led to the insurrection. Democrat Benny Thompson, the chairman of the House committee, opened the night, and Republican Representative Liz Cheney, the committee's vice chair, took the spotlight in her opening remarks. Liz Cheney, the vice chair, revealed some of the shocking revelations about Trump's criminal intent to overturn the election and staged a coup to overthrow the United States government so he can remain in power, even though he lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden. We also know that $1 million contribution to the Conservative Partnership Institute, former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows' charitable foundation, $1 million to the America First Policy Institute, an organization employing several former Trump administration officials, $204,857 to the Trump Hotel Collection, and more than $5 million to Event Strategies Inc., the organization that managed Trump's rally on the morning of January 6. Throughout the committee's investigation, we found evidence that the Trump campaign and its surrogates misled donors as to where their funds would go and what they would be used for, said Democratic Representative Zoe Lofgren, who serves on the committee, called it ripped off. Donald Trump lied to his supporters just because he wanted to raise money for himself. According to the committee, some of the money Trump's campaign raised in the weeks after the election went to paying down campaign debt and into the coffers of the Republican National Committee. A large amount also went to a new leadership PAC called Save America, which was formed 3 days after the election. Trump ripped off his supporters with $250 million. How this money was spent? Well, according to Amanda Wick, a senior investigative counsel with the January 6 committee, said in a recorded statement that the new PAC made millions of dollars of contributions to pro-Trump organizations. Donald Trump invented the big lie about the election was stolen was to launch a fundraising scheme to rip off his supporters. Donald Trump raised $250 million in donations in the weeks after the November 2020 presidential election for an organization ostensibly intended to fund court challenges in support of his false claims that the election was fraudulent. Instead, he directed that money to an unrelated political action committee, or PAC. According to congressional investigators, the January 6 Select Committee played recordings of depositions given by former employees of Trump's campaign, one of whom said, "I don't believe there is actually a fund called the Election Defense Fund." Another former Trump campaign staffer said the fund was simply a marketing tactic. Among the most notable witnesses featured in the clips shown Thursday include Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner, Trump campaign advisor Jason Miller and William Barr, Stuart Rhodes, founder and leader of the far-right paramilitary group the Oath Keepers, who has been charged with seditious conspiracy in connection with the attack on the Capitol, as well as a number of other accused and convicted rioters. We now know that it was General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, told House investigators that it was then Vice President Mike Pence who gave the order to send National Guard troops to the Capitol on January 6. In one of the most highly anticipated moments of the hearing, the committee showed this clip of its interview with Trump's daughter and former White House advisor, Ivanka, in which she said she accepted her father's defeat in the 2020 election. "I respect Attorney General Barr, so I accepted what he was saying," she said. Liz Cheney said the committee has obtained evidence that, in the wake of January 6, multiple Republican members of Congress, including Representative Scott Perry, RPA, pursued pardons from the outgoing president. It was revealed that in the weeks before January 6, Trump met with General Michael Flynn, Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani and others at the White House, alone for a period of time before White House lawyers and other staff discovered the group was there and rushed to intervene. According to Cheney, after this meeting was when Trump tweeted to his supporters of January 6, "Be there, we'll be wild." Cheney revealed Trump had a sophisticated seven-part plan to overturn the presidential election and prevent the transfer of presidential power. She said during the upcoming hearings, "You will see evidence of each element of this plan." Cheney said that future hearings would feature testimony from Trump cabinet members, discussing the possibility of invoking the 25th Amendment and replacing the President of the United States. Cheney also revealed new details about the White House's response to the riot, including a video clip of the deposition given by General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Milley told House investigators that it was then Vice President Mike Pence who gave the order to send National Guard troops to respond to the violence at the Capitol on January 6, but that the White House instructed him to say that Trump made the call. A man who made threatening statements towards Democratic lawmakers outside the Capitol on January 6 photographs a basement stairwell in Longworth House office building as Representative Barry Loudermilk led him on a tour on January 5, 2021. The January 6 committee released footage showing Representative Barry Loudermilk giving a Capitol rioter a tour on January 5, 2021. Loudermilk gave a lengthy explanation of the video to reporters outside his office on Wednesday. He claimed that the man, who was shown photographing a stairwell, was taking a photo of a Golden Eagle sconce. Republican Representative Barry Loudermilk of Georgia sought to explain himself to reporters on Wednesday after the January 6 committee released security camera footage of him giving an unofficial tour of House office buildings the day before the Capitol riot. These protesters took to the street yesterday after the Supreme Court justices ruled against Roe v. Wade, taking away a 50-year-old women's abortion rights. The president of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America, a nonprofit group that works to end abortion in the United States by electing anti-abortion politicians, Marjorie Dannenfelser has dedicated her adult life to outlawing abortion. In 2016, she played a key role in getting President Trump to commit to appoint U.S. Supreme Court justices who oppose abortion. "It's a shame that the court will do this, telling women what to do with their bodies. Remember to vote the GOP from out of office this midterm election because LGBTQ rights and others' human rights could be next." Now for some legal analysis about Donald Trump criminal intent. Can Trump's criminal intent be proven? The answer is yes. Let's talk about that. Donald Trump recruited the mobs, he incited the mobs, and he urged them to be at the Capitol on January 6. It was going to be wild. Example of criminal intent. When Donald Trump was told multiple times by the Justice Department that there was no election fraud, Trump said this quote, "Just say the election was stolen and leave the rest with me and my Republican congressman," end quote. Donald Trump knew he didn't win, so he wanted the DOJ to help him with his big lie about election fraud. What Trump did was treasonous, criminal and unconstitutional. He violated his oath of office for trying to overthrow the United States government while in office. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to this channel, hit the like button and share this video. Thanks for watching.